Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Hey, Primatech peeps. Welcome back to the Primatech Files. I'm Lilith.
And I'm Ricky.
Up for discussion today is one of my favorite episodes of the series ever, 117 Company Man.
Yeah, I agree. I completely forgot how good this episode was.
Not me. I can literally quote this episode from back then. It's Jack Coleman. This is his, debut, officially, and everybody's just like, oh...
I know, right?
Great guest star. This is just a really good... and you almost feel like this could be like the spinoff where it's just like flashbacks and then flash forwards and just leave out season 4 of your synopsis. That's your duty.
Ted and Matt confront Mr. Bennett about their abductions. Claire tries to protect her family as the Bennett household comes under attack, leading to a shocking explosion. Flashbacks reveal more about Mr. Bennett's company. Claude is revealed to be Mr. Bennett's ex-partner and is punished for going against the company. Mr. Bennett's deception of Sandra begins. Kato gives Claire to Mr. Bennett. The Haitian conspires against the Bennetts. And another new hero is introduced.
Use that term loosely.
Yeah.
We meet Candace on the story developmental front, Wilmer. She kind of becomes a little important, as we see in 5 Years Gone especially. It's that damn bridge again, which reminds me of Natural Born Killers every single time, the wedding scene. And then, of course, Thompson in his office. So let's just jump into what happens. So we open up in the present day at the Bennett's home. And Ted melts the doorknob off the back door, and he and Matt kind of breaking in her. That's always a good sign.
I know, right?
Heroes committing bad acts.
Yeah, let's feel sorry for them now.
Matt disconnects Mr. Bennett's computer, hoping there's some incriminating evidence, and I go, dude, Zach summed it up best. I don't think there's going to be anything on the family computer.
I know, it's just the fact that they've kind of got a plan, but at the same time, they don't have a plan.
They have a vague outline of a plan.
Yeah, they're just kind of going with the flow and being kind of bad at it, but yeah.
Ted's like, no, forget the computer. We're going to get inside his head.
Yeah.
They're like, we were supposed to confront him at Primatech, not at his house. And he's like, well, and then Matt's like, well, we never did get the warrant for his house, so maybe he has something. And I'm just like, yeah, family, she could torture. But anyway, Matt's all like, no, and I think it's because he has a wife and a baby on the way is really why he was so adamant about not doing this with his family present. But it's too late because they come home from the hospital. It says yes, my plan wins. And so, yeah, they see Ted, and they try to make a break for it, and then Matt pops out with his gun, and then Claire just goes, this is all your fault, Dad. Oh, Claire, now is not the time for your teenage petulance. Anyway, what happens after that? Then we get a flashback. Oh, no, they keep saying that he's they were like, so tell your family what you really do. He's like, I don't know what you mean. I just sell paper, dude. I'm a paper salesman. So they just kept getting so mad.
And Ted's all Hulk smash. He's like, oh, you don't want to see me when I'm upset.
I get real bright and real hot. Oh my god, this actor with his beard, he kind of looks like Lumberjack Dexter at the end of the
know.
It was freaking me out, and I'm like, this is not Michael C. Hall. I forgot who it was. I was just like, okay, stop freaking out. But yeah, it was kind of creepy now that I look back at it. I'm just like, that's so weird. Anyway, we get a flashback from 15 years ago where Mr. Bennett's being interviewed by Thompson. And he's like, what do you think about paper? And he's like, wildly enthusiastic. dripping with sarcasm.
And he makes him what? He makes him the manager of the regional company. And every time I was thinking, don't you mean the assistant to the regional manager? And I was just kept on getting these office flashbacks to Dwight, just like, especially as the glasses go on later on. But yeah.
Dude, I think that they should have totally went with it because, like Lost, that's where, who was it? It was where Locke worked for a little bit at that actual paper company. So I thought it would have been funny, but anyway.
There's the obvious comparisons to Lost with this episode, with the whole flashbacks informing how they make decisions in the future. So yeah, why not? Why not just go all the way?
Anyway, so then they kind of break it down like, okay, you're gonna have a partner, and it's one of them and one of us. That's how it works. And I'm like, you refer to the people that quote unquote work for you as one of them. I'm secretly thinking they're harboring some ill will towards you, and I was very right. And so, like, Claude pops out, the Invisible Man that's been working with Peter. Yeah, Peter.
Yes, beardless, and suited and booted. He's not in his homeless mode yet. Yeah.
I don't like my Christopher like that. I like him all rumpled and grumpy. Like, that's just his thing now. I'm sorry. Anyway, so he's like, Mr. Bennett's like, basically gung-ho about keeping all these secrets because he thinks people are like teacups. They can't handle the truth, as you so eloquently tweeted out during this episode. So yeah. Then we cut back to the present, and Ted's like, "What? Tell them what you doing at your little paper company." And then Matt's like, "You abduct people," and it just gets all out of hand. Mrs. Bennett's like, "Could they maybe, Mrs." And then they like start explaining about how stuff happens, and Mrs. Bennett asks how they could be made to forget, and Noah's just getting super uncomfortable, like ixnay on the forget say. And then Matt hears Claire think about the Haitian, and then blames her father for what's happening, and Matt's like, "She knows. He's got everyone fooled except for her." And then Claire's like, "Crap."
She still keeps on thinking about stuff anyway. Like, she doesn't click. She doesn't click. But yeah, obviously she's 15, 16, however old they wanted to make her and retcon her to be. But yeah.
Yeah, it was so weird. And he then's like, that her mother-in-law were made to forget and she wasn't. And then Matt's like, "Why didn't the Haitian erase your memory?" She's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
But you just thought it. Come on.
And then like Ted's like, "All right, enough of this," and his hands get all red and angry.
Yeah. He starts to hulk up.
Yes. Matt tries to get Ted to relax, and Claire's like, she knows he isn't just a paper salesman. And then Claire and Matt kind of go into the other room to speak in private, and like this is like where all the stuff starts to click, and he's like, Peter Petrelli?
All the exposition starts to happen. But no, I think it's a good part because it kind of makes Matt be a detective. Like, he starts figuring stuff, like, everything out, and it's kind of like background coming into play and showing that he can actually be kind of a good detective if his life is in danger.
Basically. No, I did like this too. And it's just like, I go, and the walls just come tumbling down. Thank goodness. Then maybe we'll push the story forward now. So anyway, that was a really good one. And then like, basically, he's like, when they were talking about Peter, she's like, "He can do what I can do." And Matt's like, "No, he can do what I can do." He's like, then he starts putting together about what happened at the scene of the crime of, save the cheerleader, save the world. And he's like, "You're covered in blood with no scratches. How did you do that?" And she's like, "I can heal." Why didn't you just say you could heal?
I know.
That's a weird choice. But anyway, we cut to another flashback. Another flashback. And that one was like a year after what we saw. And they're on the rooftop of the DeVoe building. And then it's Mr. Bennett and Claude discussing the fate of baby Claire. And then they kind of talk about her mom, how she disappeared in the fire. So they think that she's dead. And I'm like, the company seemed kind of careless and sloppy back then.
Yeah, I know. They didn't have Mr. Bennett, like, doing everything, did they?
I guess. They got to upgrade with him. Anyway, Thompson's discussing with his superior, and then, like, Claude and Bennett come over, and Thompson's like, "Here, have this kid." And it's Hero's dad! And we're just like,
I know, right?
Oh, this cannot end well.
With Baby Hero in the background as well, yeah. Playing his Game Boy.
Is that racist? I feel like that's racist, but not really, because everybody had a Game Boy back then.
when Kato tells him it's time to go, like he pushes his glasses like he always does, which I thought was a nice little touch.
That was really cute. I wonder if that was written into the script or if the kid just did it naturally.
It's kind of like with the baby. He holds the baby for the first time, and the baby starts like touching Jack Coleman's chin, and it's obviously something that they didn't plan to happen, but it was a really nice shot, and yeah,
I almost felt like that was like a little CGI. Like it felt creepy first. That baby felt creepy for some reason.
the smile on the baby felt like CGI, but no, the hands.
That was like that baby from Twilight. Nope. So then, Kato is asked about her mother and he tells him, and then he's like, all right, you and your wife can't have kids. Here you go.
No, it's kind of weird because like it obviously Kato being there kind of opens up the idea of how big the scope of the company is, but then it also shows us why HRG is how he is, because he knows he can't tell anyone about his daughter's powers, otherwise they're literally just going to take her. She's going to be taken as soon as her powers get revealed. So it's showing like that kind of background to him of, he's trying to do his best to protect his daughter, and he's not all bad. He's doing it for a reason. This is the episode where it kind of everything starts to open up, and you start seeing him more as that kind of morally grey character.
I like how he's like, don't get attached. And for a while he wasn't, and it's just kind of this interesting thing to see how much he loves Claire and what he's willing to do for her. Like, continues to do for her throughout the series.
I thought it was really nice. The backgrounds were all in black and white, when obviously, it's a morally grey character, but yeah, I really like that.
That's a good point. I love noir films, and so this was like, oh, nice touch. It was the flashbacks were super stylish, and I was like, oh, these flashbacks it kind of made me bitter. Like, these flashbacks are so good. Like, what has Heroes been holding back from us? Cut to the present day, and they had that discussion, them thinking that maybe he had something to do with making them this way, and Claire kind of zones in on that. And she's like, was that some kind of experiment? And I'm like...
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
Anyway, Ted tells Matt that he just wants to find a cure for what's happening to them. And then when Matt asks, what if there's no cure? He's like, I'll kill everybody.
I know, and he has no qualms about thinking it, knowing that he's standing next to Matt, who can read his mind. How do you feel about Ted in this episode? Because I don't know, I don't know how I feel about him. Like, is he justified in his anger? Like, is he just going to try and work out what's happened to him, or is he just a bitter, angry man because his wife's died?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Matt hit it on the nose. He goes, you can have revenge, or you can have or you can have the truth, but you can't have both. And he went for revenge.
Exactly. Yeah. He's obviously just fixated on like any reason, and the only reason that he can think of, he doesn't want to blame himself for his powers. Like, he doesn't want to blame himself for his wife dying. He wants to blame someone else, and that person is obviously HRG. And yeah, so that makes everything seem that bit more tense in that scene, because you kind of, in like every scene that he's in, because you don't really know what he's going to do. He is that kind of loose cannon that has to be reined in. So yeah.
The minute he touched Mama Bennett, I was off of his side though. Like, that woman is, talk about your quintessential long-suffering wife. That woman is the you look that up in the dictionary, that's her picture. Let me tell you. So I was like, nope, Ted, you lost all brownie points with me at that point. So then, like, Matt's trying to read his Mr. Bennett's mind, and he's thinking in Japanese. I'm like, that's brilliant.
It's
genius, and it also pulls in the flashback that we just had with them
exactly,
talking in Japanese. And then Ted's infuriated. He's like, I want answers. And then Mr. Bennett's like, there's a safe in the bookcase. Yeah. And Matt's like, go on, check that out. And then once Ted is out of the room, Mr. Bennett gets up and pulls out a gun from the fireplace. I'm like, that's a good place. If you
I know, right?
It. And then Matt punches Mr. Bennett before he can use the gun. And then Ted's like, what, who, what? It's just like that dog chasing a car. Once he gets it, he doesn't know what he's going to do with it. So then Ted loses control, points a gun at Sandra and threatens to kill her. And then he's like, I think, it's poetic justice. You killed my wife, so I'll kill yours. And then Matt hears Mr. Bennett thinking that Matt needs to trust him and shoot Claire because she can heal.
I don't know what took him so long, because he had a conversation with her previously, but obviously, he's a nice guy and he doesn't want to kill someone, but still. And Claire's shouting, isn't she, in her mind, like, shoot me! He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, then like so he plays it off and he's like, now he knows we mean business. And I'm like, this is the worst case of good cop, bad cop. It is out of control at this point.
It's a very dramatic scene. It's a very good scene to kind of go to the break on. It's a very good scene to go to the break on, yeah.
It was. Like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it was just kind of weird. He's just so, like, Mr. Bennett is just faking it so bad. He's like, you killed my daughter. And I'm like, they can get you acting classes at the company. And then he's like, you get her body out of here. You get it out of here. Come back from the break. And then Matt and Mr. Bennett are, like, up in Claire's room. And she's, like, healing. She's regained consciousness. And, you know, Matt
spitting out bullets, yeah.
But anyway, that was the CGI in this episode was so bad. We'll get there in my least favorite scene. She spits out the bullets. She's like, did you make me indestructible? And he's like, no. And then he's like trying to explain to her like what's going on. And he's like, they can't know about you or they'll take you away. And then Ted's like, what the hell's taking so long up there?
That's exactly what I say to my mom when she says dinner's ready. I'm coming!
I know, right? So then, like, it's downstairs. We go, like, downstairs and Lyle tries to knock Ted out with a baseball bat. And I'm like,
come on,
Lyle, you tried. Poor Lyle. And then Ted is calling up to Matt and Mr. Bennett. Ted dodges the attack, and then he, like, ties them up. And Mr. Bennett, they come back, and Matt come back downstairs, and they're like, oh, we'll find what at the paper company. Yeah. And Matt's like, I'll stay with the family. And Ted's like, nah, son, you go with Mr. Bennett. I'll stay here. I can do this.
And then I'm thinking to myself, no, you can kind of do more damage at the company headquarters, but yeah, we'll just go with whatever you planned.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy with the gun, so to speak. So, you know, yeah. He's like, and if you're not back in time, look for the mushroom cloud.
Yeah, he gets a bit cheesy, but yeah.
That reminds me of that Futurama episode where Fry becomes his own grandfather. He looks back, sees the mushroom cloud. Anyway, then like we go to another flashback that's also just 14 years in the past, and it's Mr. Bennett telling Thompson that his wife found a gun in the sedation kit. He's like, I think she thinks I'm a serial killer. And I'm like, yeah, that would actually be better. Yeah. And Thompson basically says that too. And he's like, so is my wife in danger? And he's like, if I said yes, would you just pack up and leave? Yeah. Then he's like, no, I'm kidding. Just relax. We're going to fix this. And that's when we meet the young Haitian.
But then that also, like, informs where HRG is in the future. Like, he's obviously erased her mind all these times just because he wants to protect her, not because he just wants to, like, he just does it willy-nilly. He's doing it because he wants to protect not only his family, but mainly Claire, because obviously Sandra's, like, seen it or seen things that she shouldn't have.
And at first, originally, when the Haitian decides not to wipe Claire's mind, it makes it almost seem like he was having an affair or something, right? So it's like kind of clarifies it as well. It's like, he's doing all this and he's cheating on Sandra? Oh, hell no. So I did like that clarification. So then, like, he's like, she's upstairs, and, you know, little baby Haitian goes to do what he does. But I like the fact that they still thought he was mute. Like
yes.
He's been playing them for that long. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And we kind of find out why later on, obviously, in Generations. Then we cut to the present, and it's Matt and Mr. Bennett, and they're at Primatech, and he's like, if you don't bring back the evidence, Ted's gonna be angry, man. You wouldn't like him when he's angry. Yeah. He's like, so Mr. Bennett says to him that instead of the truth, they're bringing back a tranquilizer, and that Ted doesn't want evidence, just revenge. And he's like, what's going to happen to him? He's like, I was like, what do you think? What do you think? Anyway, he's like, no, you're going to stay right by my side. I'm not going to send you away because you're the only one I can trust. And then he's like, but by the way, I contacted the Haitian. Yeah. So then cut to the Bennett's house, and Ted's kind of forming small explosions with his hands. And then it's like Lyle's just sitting there.
Just watching, yeah.
And Sandra's just like, what the hell is even going on? And then Claire's like being a creeper, watching secretly from the corner. This is a mess. But I was like, we really didn't need that particular scene, but whatever.
I think it's a nice little scene. Like, it's a little, it's like a little breathing room in between like all the frantic stuff that's going on. I think you kind of need that in shows every now and then, just to give you kind of time to catch your breath and kind of think about what's going on, as opposed to just like going in from like frantic scene to frantic scene to frantic scene and not having a time to like digest what you've just seen and kind of give you that kind of moment to get prepared, mentally prepare yourself for what's going to happen next. But yeah, that's just me.
I get it, but it was just like, because it's Lyle, and Lyle's just so useless. He's just the most useless character. But another thing that I really like about this episode is that we have one sole focus. Do you know what I mean? That was like what Lost did best with a character that's sole focus. We open up with them and we stay with them and we learn about them.
Yeah,
and that's what this. I feel like the formula of Heroes should have been all along instead of all this jumping around.
This is like it just focuses on like that one set of characters, like it's small, contained. It's kind of like the closest thing that Heroes is ever going to get to like a bottle episode of, because that's what it felt like in the beginning. Apart from the flashbacks, it felt like it was just going to be mainly contained to the Bennett house, and it just it's just in contrast to like how frantic and busy the show feels at times. It gave the show like a lot of focus, and the most important thing is it answered a lot of questions just this episode, yeah.
And then actually really this episode and the next episode really pushed the plot forward. It sets Ted on that path to New York and all that other stuff too. So I think that's why, in retrospect, I really appreciate the episode even more than I did when it originally aired.
Exactly.
But at the paper company, Mr. Bennett sees the Haitian. He's like, guess who I learned could talk? He's got him all hemmed up. And I was like, oh my God, this is all bad. He's like, who else knows about Claire? And he's like, just the two of us for now.
Yes.
That will change. And I'm like, he is really pushing his luck, isn't he? And then he's like, why didn't you erase Claire's memories? He's like, I answered to someone in Claire's life whose instructions supersede yours. And I'm like, okay. That's a weird way to put it. Cut to 7 years ago, Mr. Bennett and Claude are driving down the highway, and Claude's all being cagey. He's like, so, what's our mission? And Bennett's like, looking into it.
Both being cagey with each other until he's just like, let's just cut to the chase. Just like Claude with everything else, he just cuts through the bullshit and just goes straight to the heart of the matter, because he's only got like the smallest amount of screen time.
It's like, I got to get back to Doctor Who.
Exactly.
Anyway, he's like, he interrogates Claude about who he's hiding. You know, he was hiding somebody with special abilities, and he's like, I just can't hunt down my own anymore. And he's like, I was hoping that this whole Claire thing would soften your heart. And he's like, Claire doesn't have any powers. And he's like, yet. And he's like, are you just gonna turn her in as ordered? And he's like, Mr. Bennett's like, yeah. And Claude's like, sure you will. Sure you will. And then he was like, I was in your office when you were told to kill me. And then he's like, I think you're a good man. And then Mr. Bennett just stops the car on the bridge and tells Claude to get out. He's like, who have you been hiding? And he's like, but Claude's like, the company is crap.
We never get that answer about who he's been hiding. For me, I was like, was he hiding Meredith at this point? But I don't really know. But it's like Claude and the Haitian are both kind of like disgruntled workers at this point, aren't they? That's kind of how they feel. They feel like disgruntled workers who feel like they've been misused, and they're trying their best to look after their own kind, so to speak. And I kind of see like Claude as kind of a version of HRG at this point. Like, he's doing what he can to protect the people that he quote unquote loves or feels protective of at this point. And it's kind of weird to see, that kind of dichotomy between them both, and how HRG eventually becomes like Claude, and the kind of parallels with the bridge and everything. So
yeah, I just like the scene. He actually shot him, but it didn't seem like he meant to. I kind of agree.
Yeah,
it's done.
It took me like, I think because I did a first watch of this, and when he shot him, it kind of just looks like it was either he was really shocked that he shot him, or like Jack Coleman actually flinched at the sound of the gun going off. I had to watch it a couple of times. Yeah.
So Claude disappears, and Mr. Bennett thinks he just fell to his death, and he's like, I'm not going to investigate this any further.
Yeah. like a good company man. Yeah.
Anyways, back at the paper company, the Haitian and Bennett argue over Claire, and Matt's trying to stay out of it. Matt's just like, we have very limited time, people. Then, so, the Haitian tells Mr. Bennett, I know you've been kind of keeping Claire a secret, and that's the kind of thing that could get you killed. Ted watches the clock at the Bennett house, and then he hears a noise upstairs, and then he goes upstairs to investigate, and Claire's like, dee-dee-dee-dee, come on, I'm gonna cut you loose. He finds Mr. Muggles, but he doesn't find Claire on her bed.
I just love the way it takes her so long to get through those that gaffer tape or the electrical tape. I don't know what you guys call it over there, but it takes her so long to do it. But then, like, when the Haitian comes along, he has like a little a little puny knife and does it like next to nothing.
Claire doesn't have any experience in being tied up and untied. And that's a good thing, honestly. So Claire's mom, of course, refuses to leave, and I'm like, your bio son, you're just gonna, okay, yeah, whatever. You just saw her come back to life. I think she'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then Ted, uses his power to burn Claire's neck, and then he sees her regenerate, and he's like, that tricky SOB. So then, Sandra gets all weird, out of nowhere religious, right? Like, what?
It did feel really weird, but it felt kind of shoehorned in, especially with, because the show's kind of based in science as much as they can. But then they've had inklings of religion being brought into it, one of the unaired pilots, and then Sila was all religious and in Godsend, and so it kind of felt like something like that, like they were trying to get back into the kind of science versus religion debate.
Yeah, it did feel shoehorned in, but then also I thought about it, it would kind of make sense because Texas, they're in Texas, especially a small town in Texas. A lot of people would be deeply religious like that, especially if you saw a miracle such as that.
Yes.
So, but it just was like, now's not the time for that. You got a mad hand to your right, bruh. And so, she goes, I walked the fire without getting burned. You were trying to tell me. And Claire's like, no, I was trying to not tell you. And then see Matt and Mr. Bennett return, and he confronts them about their little lie.
Am I still in control? I love that line.
So, trying to calm him down, Mr. Bennett's like, here's your file. And Matt's like, yeah, here's the file. This is what we came for. We should leave.
Oh, that explanation's so good, because that's exactly how it felt. Yeah. Let's go. This is it. Let's go. Let's just go.
And he's like, all I want you to do is let my family go. And then the Haitian pops in. It's like, all right, come on, let's clear out. They all leave him. Yep. They all leave Mr. Bennett behind without a bat of an eye.
Yeah, apart from Claire, who suddenly becomes really concerned for her father at this point. The whole way through, she's kind of been battling him, and it kind of felt like it turned on a dime here. She's battling her father, pretty much the whole kind of episode up to this point. She's not listening to him. There's that point where, he's just about to... There's that point in the episode where he's just about to leave her in her bedroom. He puts her hand on her face, and she kind of, flinches away from it. But here, at the moment that he's not going to go with them, she's like, oh, daddy, and it felt kind of a bit too 180 at that point. But
I don't know, but then again, at the same time, it's when stuff got real, oh crap, he burned her neck, she knows the power, his power. She's like, well, I hate you right now, but I love you, you've done all this. I think she really came to the realization that a lot of the stuff that he did was really for her in a messed up way. So now she's just like, I want to be mad, but I can't. So I kind of, it was a 180, but at the same time, because the episode is so frantic and hectic, nobody had time to process their emotions, properly, I think. So yeah, after that, what happens after the Haitian lets them go?
That's when, what's his name comes into frame? Mr. Thompson comes into frame. Instead of, being a bad guy who doesn't announce himself, he has to announce himself before he shoots him. So yeah, that happens, and then Ted goes all Hulk.
Yeah, then it's like, no, you'll set him off. Ted falls to the ground and loses control of his powers, and that sets the house on fire. Then it's like, what?
And no one's giving any concern for their safety at this point. Everyone's rushing towards him, trying to stop him. Not knowing that radiation poisoning, and just getting thrown about all over. It's because of his powers. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really funny because then like everybody comes running out and Claire doesn't see her father come out, so she goes back in the house. And then I love how the Haitian just kind of like slips away into the night. Like, I'm out of here. This is the perfect distraction. And so Claire's like, I won't leave without you. And Mr. Bennett's like trying to get Ted sedated with the tranquilizer.
But he can't get close enough, yeah.
Yeah, and that's when Claire realizes that she can do it. Kind of X-Men 2 style. Like,
yeah, it felt very... Is it X-Men 2 or X-Men 3? I think it's X-Men 3.
It's X-Men 3.
Yeah, but they did it before.
Everybody
they did
dies.
it before X-Men,
Anyway, so that's what happens, and then Claire comes out.
She can't. Yeah, she does. She does come out. Oh, yeah.
And then like Thompson sees her,
and he just has that smug look on his face, and I'm like, love you, Eric Roberts.
Such an unexpected guest star. Did not see. Then we kind of cut back to the paper company, and Thompson and Mr. Bennett talk about they're watching Ted, and they're like, what's gonna happen to him? And I'm like, is that the Siler cell?
Yeah. Is it? I think it is. Or is that just part of level 5?
That's just how and they're not all made like that.
Is that just like part of level 5 at this point? Like that we don't know, but that's what I'm assuming. But I always thought level 5 was underground, and I'm sure I've seen like episodes before where they just go into a room, but maybe they're 5 levels underground. Who knows? But yeah.
Thompson tells Mr. Bennett it's a shame that he's going to have to kill another partner. Talking about the Haitian. And they kind of talk about, he's like, you probably feel like an idiot. And he's like, yeah. Sure, buddy. So after that, we kind of meet Candace Wilmer. He's like, is she one of them? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. Like, she's checking on his vitals and stuff. So did they, like, train her as a nurse? Or, like, I never really understand, like, the henchman's status level. Like, what everybody's educational background is.
She's a good character, but at this point she just feels like a plot device to kind of move the whole story forward. Like everything she does just seems to be because of convenience, but yeah. And
then they're talking about Parkman, and he's like, his powers would be really useful. And he goes, what are you going to do with Claire? He's like, oh, I'll bring her in now. I'm like, yo, wait.
Yeah.
I thought, honestly, in the first time that I watched this, I thought he was just going to pack up the family and leave. Like, shoo.
Yeah.
That comes later, though. But anyway. Mr. Bennett, then we cut to Mr. Bennett driving Claire down a highway, and she's like, where are we going? Will I ever see you again? And he's like, I don't know. I just want you to be safe.
Yeah.
I told you, and now it's come to this little girl. That's what I felt like he wanted to say. And then we cut to 3 years ago. And Claire is helping her father pick out a pair of glasses, and she's like, am I gonna need glasses someday since you and Granddaddy needed them? And he's like, tough family conversation. You were adopted.
Let's just do this out of nowhere. Let's not bring your mum into it. Let's just tell you straight out, like blatantly, just to your face. The whole thing feels a bit forced, a bit shoot in, like some of the other things in this episode. But it's still, at the end of the day, it's still a very nice little scene between them, and she kind of accepts it a bit too readily.
Well, I don't know. Like, I felt like this was natural because I think that they were trying to make the point, and we kind of get the inklings early on that they were the closest out of, the family, like, up until a point until she got her power. So I think that this was kind of trying to reinforce that. And Sandra's kind of a pushover, and she doesn't care about things like that. She cares about Mr. Muggles and dog shows. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's how they've kind of made Mama Bennett come off a lot of the time. So she's like, I don't want that icky talk, so you can do it. Anyway, Claire's like, what about my real family? He's like, we are your real family. And I'm just like, yeah,
But if he's like...
Honestly, the Bennetts are better than her actual real family.
Yeah. But if he's this blatant with, like, you're adopted, imagine, like, the birds and the bees conversation. Like, he just gets in there and he's just like, so, there's a man and there's a woman. And he just goes like, there's no, like...
No, I think it's like Mean Girls. If you have sex, you will die. I guarantee you that was the talk they had. But I did love this scene. I love the fact that it was Jack Coleman's idea about this scene. So he had a really good insight to his character, I think. And that always makes the best character when the actor feels really closely connected. Which is why he's so enduring and back for the reboot.
Yes.
Anyway, so Claire picks out she picks out the horn rim glasses. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And she's like, it makes you look like my dad. And I was like, this is so corny. Why is there a tear coming out of my eye? Don't judge me. Mr. Bennett, then we cut back to Mr. Bennett on the bridge. He pulls over. he gets out with Claire, and the Haitian's waiting for them. And the Haitian basically shoots him in the perfect spot so he doesn't bleed out too fast, and digs deep and erases those memories.
And you get the sympathetic HRG once again, and yeah, it's great.
And then to be continued. I'm like, aren't all these episodes to be continued? Honestly, saying, but yeah, this was great. So grade Ricky. He's like, screw it, it's still a C.
No, I'm gonna give it. I think I'm gonna give it a B+/A-. It was. I think it was. It's probably one of the best episodes of Heroes. Just like all the way through. As opposed to like my grading for is it Collision, where I just gave it an A just because of future
hero.
Yeah. No, this is a good episode the whole way through. It's concise, it's to the point, and it's not too busy, and it just answers a lot of questions which needed to be answered. And when you're comparing it to like a show like Lost, which had like so many questions that kind of got answered like much later on in the series, this is a good episode because it's it's over halfway through, it's coming to the end, and they're giving you answers into a specific character, and it's one of the best characters. So yeah,
I gave it a flat out A. It could have been an A+ had they kind of I don't know, like there was some hokey moments in there that I was just like, oh, but it's a total A for me. I love this story.
One of the things is how did they explain the house blowing up away with the Haitian not there? Like, how did they do that? Like, for me, that and all her neighbors seeing Claire come out like and heal herself.
I know, just left in the air at that point.
And also, the thing is, like, where's Hannah at this point? Like, I know she's not really a big thing, and she's mainly for the comics, but she just led them away and made them do it. Like, she's not even like keeping up with them via text or whatnot. But yeah, that's just a really, really minor thing for me. But yeah.
I know, because when they introduce it, like Hannah to Ted, and then Ted's like, yeah, I got Matt, and they're having that talk, and then she just slips away, and all we get are the comic books? Really?
It kind of seems like that they're meant to be like the first kind of coming together of like a superhero team, like a team up, but it kind of just doesn't materialize and just becomes Tweedledee and Tweedledum just doing their thing.
Oh, you said it, mister. You said it. Matt and Ted are not that great together.
I think Matt comes across it really quite well in this episode. But yeah, no, I think just like the little things like him being a detective and putting everything together, like the whole it's all connected kind of deal about the show, him being able to put everything together, even though he's kind of just doing it off the top of his head and it kind of is just theory crafting. It's very good. And he's able to, be the one who's there to kind of control Ted, and he's the one who kind of knows that they're in over their head at that point, but he's not just like flat out going and just being like, we need to get out of here. He's kind of trying to work Ted into making Ted believe that it's Ted's ideas why they should leave, kind of deal. But yeah, Parkman, this is kind of his coup de grace at this point.
That's probably another secret reason that I don't really talk about it. Matt did come off really good this episode. Anyway, where was your favorite scene?
I'm going to go with Noah and Claire, baby Claire. I think that was a really nice scene, and apart from the CGI smile, that's a good scene. I also like Ted writhing around on the floor and just seeing the devastation of his powers. Sure, it was a bit hokey at times, but yeah, I quite like that as well. How about you?
I like the initial hiring of Mr. Bennett at the company. And I liked the scene between Matt and Claire, because this really pushes the story forward. Like I said, it feels a little clunky, exposition-y, but it does push the story forward. So I like that. And that was an unexpected character interaction that I didn't really see coming.
Yeah. How about any lines?
Of course. Of course. You want me to play Dad? I'm sorry, I'm not Mr. Muggles. Claire. That was like the best line she had in a while. And then Mr. Bennett to Thompson, I'm comfortable with morally gray. Like, that was so meta. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, such a good line.
What about you?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Those are really good lines. I really like them. No, I really like the morally gray one. I like the little jab at Sandra Bennett just having pictures of dogs all over the place.
More than her kid.
Yeah, right at the beginning. I really like that. Especially especially after the first shot you see is like the happy families, which the happy family picture, which looked a bit like doctored. Yeah, not photoshopped, but it looked like they put some blur on it or something like that. It looked really weird, but yeah.
So yeah, trivia time.
Yes. Peter, Nathan, Nikki, Micah, DL, Mohinder, Isaac, and Simone do not appear in this episode.
I
Yay!
know, literally,
Hero
yay.
Hero appears, but it's obviously child Hero has the most shots than any other Heroes episode to date. Over 1,000 shots apparently. Jack Coleman is in 95% of these shots, which is always good.
Yes.
Um,
Sir.
yeah, it's all right. Don't worry about it. Hayden Panettiere is the only actor to have appeared in every episode at this point, and I think in the whole of the first season. I think that's it. Do you have any more?
If you read the commentary, the Texas bridge where they filmed at is called the Big Tunga Narrows Bridge, which is 30 miles right outside of downtown Los Angeles. I love when they shoot around. Dude, California is the best place to film. It just is. Because you can be in the desert, you can be in space. Just saying.
Is it the director, I think, Alan Arkush? He said that there are two houses obviously used. There's the original house seen throughout the whole episode, and the blown up house. There's a false window and wall when the Bennett's SVU first pulls up. That was how that was shot. Noah shoots Claude in the same place the Haitian shot him, so that kind of explains how he was able to survive, although I'm sure Noah shot him more than once, and one of them was like right in the chesty kind of area.
Oh, and I'm so remiss in my duties. This film is largely based on a 1995 film noir thriller called The Desperate Hours, which is a Humphrey Bogart movie, and also a little bit of Cape Fear thrown in for good measure.
Here, when Mr. Bennett's thinking in Japanese, he is thinking, "I must save my family, protect them at any cost." Apparently, the young boy played by Garrett Masuda, who's heavily implied but never named as hero. It's named as hero. I'm sure
He
he
said
says
it was his son.
Yeah, but he is
He have another
credited.
son?
I have no idea, but he's credited as young Asian. So there's
Wow.
there's that.
No, but wait. Okay, no,
Sure.
I remember something about this in the forums if you go back to when we meet Hero's actual dad, he calls him his one true son. So maybe that's why, and then that like literally never went anywhere. So maybe that's why initially this was set up that way.
Okay.
I don't know.
And then we have the two graphic novel
2? Hell's Angels and
Family Man, which kind of feel like they're bookmarks for this episode. So one's kind of before and one's after. So yeah.
So you want to talk about Family Man?
Why not? This graphic novel concerns itself with bagging and tagging Meredith. Basically, it's just Bennett and Claude going in, the apartment exploding, and Mr. Bennett rushing back in to grab the baby and take her out. So that's basically what it is. It's obviously Meredith who's blowing up at this point, and this is where she gets out of Dodge and doesn't care about her baby and just lets her being taken by some other people. Well, in reading this graphic novel, it kind of differs like how Bennett feels about Claire at this point from the episode, because in the episode he obviously doesn't think he'll be a good father, and he doesn't want to have the baby. But in this episode, in this graphic novel, it's obviously, I don't know if it's told from like in the past point of view or if it's been done like in the here and then, but he seems to have like an instant connection with the child, and it kind of doesn't fit. But I don't know if that's just me reading too much into it.
Well, we had
What do
new
you think?
people working on this one, right? Or something like that?
Yeah,
So
I believe
that
so.
could be something to it. Actually, yeah. Let me actually pull that up. Who wrote this one? We had Jesse Alexander. Yeah, that's a new person. And then the art was by Michael Gidos. So yeah, 2 totally new people. And then the Easter egg, oh god, of Greg Gumberg and James Clark. Behind the scene photos. You guys know how I feel about that. So now we can talk about Family Man.
Oh, look at you! You want to get onto Family Man? Do you like Family Man?
This is really good. Although they do have the same introduction, Hell's Angel and Family Man. I love the last line. A very few became friends, and no one would encounter early in his career who would become the most special person in his life. The girl called Claire. It's so
Yeah.
cute.
So the basic premise graphic novel is it's set just after the family are hugging at the end after the house has been exploded, and Thompson's given Mr. Bennett 1 hour to turn Claire over. So, suspecting that the company's following him, he ducks them, sends a message to Hannah, and Hannah agrees to help him. And that's when he starts to formulate his plan. And it ends with him heading towards the bridge and the Haitian shooting him and erasing his memory.
Yeah, this is weird though. Can I just say that I kind of hate the fact how they just like if you didn't actually read these graphic novels, anytime Hannah popped up, you were just confused as crap. Like you're like, why is Hannah helping him in the flash forward episode? And it's just like it just seems unnatural unless you read the graphic novels. And I think that's one of the biggest missteps that they did because Hannah was an actual interesting character.
I never put two and two together with that. So, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, it's really bad. I suppose that they just assumed that everyone was reading like trying to consume everything like I was, and you were, but you get the casual audience who just, yeah, let's just watch Heroes.
Yeah, and this one was written by Jesse Alexander too. But then we had another new artist. I don't really remember all this influx of new blood into this graphic novel now that I think about it. But this one was the art was by Stash Johnson, and we actually didn't. Oh, it was the Easter egg was a link to Hannah's website, which I actually don't think is functional, but I'll click it. Oh, it became part of Heroes Evolution, didn't it?
Yes, yes. It was Hannah was doing all the Heroes Evolutions RG stuff, which is nowhere to be found anymore. But I'm sure there's a couple of blogs which go through everything, and Heroes Wiki has a lot of stuff about it. Should really read up on that because yeah, it builds directly into the net kind of bunch of graphic novels, especially at the end. So yeah, I thought it was interesting, HRG having to call for help and Hannah actually accepting, especially, given their history. He sent her to essentially die in Tanzania, and she wants to get her own back, but it's obviously him trying to take down the company at this point, and that's the start of it, which kind of bleeds over into the next episodes, the actual next episode of Heroes. So yeah, Parasite, yes. Okay, so emails. This is from Akia, who didn't give us a Twitter handle, so that's all I can really say. She is just giving a general overview. She says, I am really into sci-fi movies and heroes. It seems perfect. I'm starting to believe that they are real. She wants to like them too. 40 minutes in for her is really quick and she doesn't get bored of the episodes. It gets more and more exciting as the story gets deeper. She's only on episode 13 and will continue to watch it until the finale. Great series, great actors, great story, great job in capital letters.
Yay! First time watcher!
Yeah, I know first time watchers always want to hear from them because I want to know how they feel watching the show, because I'd love to be watching the show again for the first time because maybe I would like some of the characters a bit more.
The Sanders sisters are always going to be messed up. Everybody else is open to reevaluation, but the Sanders sisters, that's just terrible. Law and Janice Parkman, she gets better once she kind of disappears into the ether.
Shameless vlogs, yes.
Ricky's favorite part.
Okay, so any thoughts on any of the Heroes episodes, any of our Primatech episodes, or questions about the show or for your host, just email us, primatechfiles@gmail.com. How to listen to our show, you can go to many numerous sites. You can make sure you follow us on Stitcher and on iTunes. On iTunes, you can download, subscribe, rate, and review. Just search the word Primatech Files. That works the same on Stitcher. Bookmark our Libsyn, which is primatechfiles.libsyn.com. Favorite Southgate Media Group on SoundCloud, and you will get our episodes on there. Speaking of Southgate Media Group, you can find them on iTunes. Search them on iTunes, and you can find numerous podcasts on TV and general pop culture, or search their website, southgatemediagroup.com, to learn about the hosts, keep up to date on all the podcasts, and read their weekly blogs. Our social media, you can find us on Tumblr, primatechfiles.tumblr.com. You can find us on facebook.com/primatechfiles. We live tweet 2 episodes every Saturday. Just follow Tech Files on Twitter, which X, and we also use the hashtag Primatech Files during the live tweets so make sure you search that to follow the conversation. This week we did episode 17, and the following people retweeted, faved, or joined in the conversation. It was Peter R.K., Black Star Valent, Drev22, Mike E. Gunner, English Idiot 101, Nomi _91, C Jules Roll, sorry, and Cinzia667. Don't worry, we will tag you when this episode comes out. Finally, you can find my writings at quanmagazine.com. That's QUAN magazine.com, and The People's Movies. And you can also check me out on tvbinge.com for all your TV binge watch needs. And you can also create your own binge watch, and we will help promote it. Finally, you can follow me on Twitter at Ricky J Diaz. That's RICKYJDIAZ, or if you like English. Lilith?
On Twitter, you can find me at Lilith Hellfire. You can find me on Tumblr for now at lilithberryhellfire.tumblr.com. And please be sure to check out my blog, Little Pop Culture, littlepopculturevulture.blogspot.com. All right, you want to take us out of here with our tagline? Don't forget, download the podcast